Hi everyone, it's Marisa from BumblebeeApothecary.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to show you how to make a Nourishing Traditions sourdough starter. I'm going to jump right into how you make a sourdough starter, and then after I am done showing you how to do that, I'm going to talk some more about the benefits and some other things that you need to know about it. So there are two different ways that you can make a sourdough starter. You can make it a really simple, easy way that just requires two things: flour, water, three things: flour, water, and the air around you. Another way that you can make a sourdough starter is to purchase a commercial starter. I will be talking a little bit more about these two different methods, but for now, let's get started making the sourdough starter just with flour and water. For this recipe, I'm using freshly ground rye flour. I like to grind the grains myself because that makes them the freshest, the nutrients are available, they haven't had a chance to oxidize. And then I like making breads with either all rye flour or at least some rye flour, because rye has more phytase, which helps to neutralize phytic acid in another type of flour that I might choose to use with the rye flour. So to make this starter, we're going to put 2 cups of rye flour into a bowl, and then we're going to add 2 cups of filtered water. And then I'm just going to mix this together well. I have this little thing, it's like a flat type of a whisk that is specifically for mixing dough and sourdough starters. I really like it. It's the best tool that I've ever used for this type of thing, and I'll put a link below where I found it. So I'm just going to mix until it's well incorporated. There aren't any dry bits of flour left that you can see, no lumps. You can see that it's a pretty soupy consistency, which is just fine. That's what we want. Next, I'm going to cover this with a towel. You can also use cheesecloth like it says in the Nourishing Traditions cookbook. I like to just set it over top and then kind of just secure it around by wrapping it kind of like that, tucking around the sides. But you can also secure it with a rubber band to make it even more safe. And then what you're going to do is you're going to leave this in a somewhat warm area. If it's summer or spring or fall where it's still kind of warm, then probably just your kitchen counter or even a sunny window is a nice place. If it's winter time, then you'll have to get a little bit more creative and look for a warm place, like sometimes the top of your refrigerator is warmer, or next to a Himalayan salt lamp. That's something I use oftentimes when I want just a gentle heat next to something in the winter time. So look around and try to find a sort of warm place for it to sit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a clean bowl. You're going to want to use a larger bowl for this next step. You're going to pour the sourdough starter into another bowl, and then you're going to add 1 cup of your freshly ground rye flour plus enough water to keep that soupy texture. You're going to do that same thing every day for 7 days. Try to do it roughly about the same time of each day so that you're getting about 24 hours each time. Pretty soon you're going to see the mixture start to bubble, and that is the yeast from the air around starting to work and starting to ferment that and turn it into an actual sourdough starter. After 7 days of that process, then the sourdough starter is ready to use. So in an upcoming video, I'm going to show you how to make some sourdough bread with your brand new sourdough starter. So there you have it. It's really simple and easy. You can fit it into a busy schedule. Sometimes it takes a little bit of getting into the habit of, oh yeah, I need to feed this. One more thing to feed, right? Pets, kids, sourdough starter. Anyway, it's very doable. So now let's talk a little bit about the other method for getting sourdough starter. You can get a store-bought sourdough starter that is a freeze-dried culture from some different places. I'm going to link a few below that I have used. The one that I have been using and really liking lately is actually one designed for rye. And I like this because I can use it with just rye flour if I want, or I can use it with other flours. It's one that can work with many different grains. When you buy a purchased sourdough starter, then there's directions on the package, but it's a process very similar to what I just talked about when you're making your own from wild yeast that's in the air. You will start by hydrating it with some water and a little bit of flour, so start feeding it, and it will tell you the amounts to use and how often to feed it, but it's almost exactly the same process as I just showed you here. Once that starter is active and you have a large enough amount, then you're able to start baking with it. The reason why you might want to get a commercial sourdough starter is if you're looking for a particular kind that you want to use with a certain type of flour, or if maybe you're after a certain type of flavor, like you can get a San Francisco sourdough starter. I've used that before and that's fun. But this homemade one that you can make just with flour and water and the wild yeast that's in the air is great, and you can pretty much use it with whatever flour that you want, as long as it's in the general group of traditional wheat flours. You can't get too creative with like gluten-free flours and different things as far as I know, but it'll work for different types of wheat and rye flours. So these steps that I've gone over are talking about getting a live, active, bubbly sourdough starter ready so that you can make something. If you make something every week or a few times a week, you can keep a bubbly, live sourdough starter fresh on your counter and just use it regularly. You'll want to make sure that you reserve some, like a couple cups each time, so that you can start feeding a new batch and keep it going. But if you want to take a break from baking, if you don't bake that often, or if you're going on vacation or something, then you put a good amount of the starter, like a half of a quart jar, so like a pint, maybe even a little bit more, like 3 cups or so, into a mason jar like this, and then you put a lid on it, a regular, like a white lid, and then you just put it in your refrigerator and it'll stay dormant for a little while. You will want to get it out and use it as soon as you can so that it doesn't wait too long to be fed, but that's what you do if you need a break from it. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed seeing how easy it is to start making your own Nourishing Traditions sourdough starter. And let me know what you're excited about learning how to make with sourdough starter, what kind of baked goods you're interested in. I have a lot more videos coming up on different ways to use the sourdough starter for all different kinds of baked goods, so stay tuned for those. There will be a link below, like I said, for some of the different resources. This whisk that I really like to use for stirring my sourdough and starters. A good place to get a commercial starter if you're interested in that. And one of my favorite places to get the whole grains that I like to grind into flour, and they also have pre-ground flours as well. There will be a link below also to my blog, where there's a full written blog post about this with some more information and a printable recipe card if you want that. And if you're new to my channel, I have a free DIY organic personal care recipes ebook. If you are interested in learning how to make a few of your own personal care items with all natural organic ingredients, then there'll be a link below where you can grab that free ebook. Okay, if you liked this video and found it interesting or helpful, give it a thumbs up. Share it with anyone else who you think might want to learn to make their own sourdough starter. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I make new videos every week on traditional health wisdom and living a sustainable DIY lifestyle. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.